This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to the Clear Lines training session. I am your host, Kipp Cohen. It is Tuesday, the 11th of June, 2019. This is a twice weekly training session provided to the subscribers of the Clear Lines indicator running on the Medved Trader platform. It is also made available to anybody interested in learning more about Clear Lines and about Medved. This session is recorded and will be posted to our YouTube page for the Equity-Alerts YouTube page. You can get to that by going to equity-alerts.com, clicking the YouTube link at the top. This session is, again, twice weekly, every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 o'clock Eastern. There will be no sessions next week, no sessions the 18th or the 20th, as I am going to be out of the country. If you have any specific questions about the Clear Lines indicator or the Medved platform, do not hesitate to submit those. You could submit them through the GoToMeeting player. You can also email them to me directly at kip@equity-alerts.com, or you can text me on my cell phone number posted on the page you can see there at 972-841-8886. So today, what I wanted to do is kind of just cover some of the basics. Of course, unless I have some specific questions, but some of the basic functionality of the Medved platform, and I'm going to go into a little bit of here just a moment talking about the Clear Lines and how they got here and kind of the quick nickel tour, so to speak. So for those that don't know, my name is Kipp Cohen. I was employed by WiseTrade for 17 years, WiseTrade Trend Analysis software company. August of last year, they made the decision, their new owners, Bank Ally Invest, made the decision to basically discontinue operations. A lot of reasons, many that don't make sense to a lot of people, but business-wise made sense to them. And so it provided an opportunity for me, I love what I do, and I had an opportunity to step right into my own alert service with my partners, Jim and Lindsay, who are both former WiseTrade customers. We have equity-alerts.com, and I own that business with them. And then I separately own Clear Trading Systems, which owns the Clear Lines indicator. I have two partners in that business, a software programmer and a trader / developer of indicators. And so that entity is focused on more on some personal ventures, and obviously, we created the Clear Lines, and we'll be looking at some other technical indicators of our own at some point in the future. The Clear Lines, although they're not identical to the WiseTrade algorithm, because I don't own the WiseTrade algorithm, I actually tried to purchase both. I tried to purchase WiseTrade, the company, and I tried to purchase the intellectual property, which included the algorithm, and Ally couldn't wouldn't, for whatever reason, more of a couldn't, I think. Couldn't sell it because of the what it would take to actually make it all happen, man hours, manpower, money, and then, so it all just kind of went away. But thankfully, my developer who used to work for WiseTrade was intimately knowledgeable with the inner workings of the WiseTrade red and green lines and assisted me in developing clear lines, which I would say is about as close as we could legally get to the WiseTrade algorithm without violating any potential lawsuits. Although they're out of business, so I don't know what they would do, but Allied technically still owns that property, so we didn't want to get into any problems. So we obviously we made a couple differences with it, but it is, you're the one thing you will see that's a little different is it's not at the turns not quite as smooth, and that actually has more to do with the charting package that Medved uses. That takes a it does not have a smoothing feature built into it. Besides that, it's pretty darn close. Well, the one thing that you'll notice that is different is that I have the red and green arrows on my charts. Those are trend change arrows. They're confirmations of trend changes. The biggest change is that obviously we're on a different type of platform. It's a modular platform that has pieces to it and it has two different types of charts, a historical chart, which gives us our monthly, weekly, and daily long-term, midterm, and short-term trends. And then we have an intraday chart that gives us minute time frames. There are preset minutes and there are endless numbers of custom minutes. Lots of different, you can even go less than a minute. You can go 30 seconds or 15 seconds if you want, which is something that WiseTrade did not do. One of the great things that I really love about our relationship with Medved, and let me talk about that briefly. Medved Trader, the reason we integrated with them, or there's a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is they had a relationship with Ally Invest already. Their platform was offered for free to anybody that had a funded account with Ally Invest. So a lot of the WiseTrade customers were Ally customers. So that was a good marriage. Because they're a smaller company, we were able to work very closely with the owners and work out something to be able to write our indicator onto their platform, which was phenomenal. And we just love Medved. It's different. There's definitely a learning curve compared to how simplistic WiseTrade was, but it is leaps and bounds so much greater than or better than what we had with WiseTrade because we can do so much more. There's so many more things that we can do. You can keep it as simple as you want, and that's one of the things I do for my new customers. Yesterday, I had a customer signed up. I spent probably over an hour with him on the phone, remotely connected into his computer, helped him build a specific layout, actually very similar to the one you see now, and kind of went through everything with him, the basics of how to use the application and so forth. So that's one of the things I do for my new subscribers is I will provide one-on-one mentoring initially, an hour or so initially, and then I do provide ongoing support. Hold on one second. I do provide ongoing support of the product. I'm pretty much the main technical and customer support person for the clear lines. You can reach me pretty much anytime if you need assistance. I prefer that my customers come into this twice weekly training session. I do provide them on our YouTube page to view later. But if you do need some one-on-one assistance with the platform, setting things up, adjusting questions about it, I don't hesitate one bit to provide that support. That's important to me. That was something that was instilled at WiseTrade. It was taking care of our customers, and that's something that I have always done in everything I have been a part of. I'm all about taking care of my clients. So let me answer a couple quick questions, and then we'll kind of delve into the platform a little bit. Thomas says, "What happened to the cool guy that started WiseTrade?" I love that program. He's George. If you're talking about George, he's still around. He's not in this business any longer. He does. He's into something else that he's been doing for several years now, related to health and well-being. Joe wanted to know what happened to WiseTrade. You know, Joe, WiseTrade was acquired several times by different brokers, and the last acquisition was by Ally Invest, which was part of Ally Bank, and they just made a business decision to close the company down. A lot had to do with compliance and spending a tremendous amount of money to bring the products into compliance and the database into compliance, and they just made the decision it would be easier just to close down the operations. And yes, Tom, thank you. We did have a wonderful staff. It was a great company. I was with them for 17 years. I was employee number 12. I was there when we got to about 170, and I was one of the last ones standing. So when we got down to less than 12, it's pretty crazy ride. You know, at Club Metro, the pressure charts are still very important to me. Absolutely. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the pressure charts. But I also like the other indicators that we're using now. One of the things you have to realize too is the market will affect things. And, you know, the market's been very choppy, and it's affecting the overall trend of a lot of stocks. That's why we don't see, I mean, we've seen a few, but we don't see a lot of solid trending stocks. We see a lot of choppiness, and that's market conditions. But, you know, the definitely, I mean, there's no question that the pressure charts are very important to me. The buying and selling momentum is very important to me. I look at these lines every day. But what I have found is that, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys, that the clear lines, along with some additional indicators, have kind of taken us to a new level. They've really brought our trading to another level. They've helped us see a little more clarity. So let's, oops, sorry, there, Tom. Please keep the cameras off. Keep mics off, cameras off. Hold on, I got to figure out how to. No, I didn't want to do that. Hold on. Give me just a second so I can try to fix something real quickly. one moment. Okay. All right, sorry. Anyway, yeah, I don't see you now, Tom. You kind of popped on for a second, but you're gone. Okay. So as I was stating a couple minutes ago, the Medved platform is a modular platform. In other words, each window does moves and can be placed and set differently. They lock in together and they can be minimized and maximized as a group, but it isn't modular. You can break things off, you can shift them around, or you can keep them sitting together. And there are two different types of charts. There is a historical for the long, mid, and short-term trend, and then there's an intraday. And you can, depending on basically your computer screen, you can set up multiple charts, different time frames. It just depends on how many screens, monitors you have, and how much resolution you have. So typically when somebody just starts up the program, when they're new, they get this layout. This is the 8 time frame layout. And I built this for the Wise Trader in mind, because Wise Trade allowed you to look at 8 time frames at once. Well, not all at once, but you could look up to 8 different windows: long-term, mid-term, short-term, and then this is a 130, 60, 30, 10, and 2. You can maximize or minimize any chart to see a full view of it. From the file button at the upper left corner, this is what I call the index view or index window. This is where you actually can access the layout library. The layout library will be the different layouts that you create. So every time you create a new one, you save it, and then you ultimately build a library of different layouts. And as you can see, I have about 30 different layouts. I typically only use 2 of them. Now, the 2 chart layout that you initially saw, and then the popper dropper layout pretty much throughout the day. But you can build as many layouts as you want. You can flip between different layouts. You can only open one at a time. There is a layout library of pre-built layouts, both Medved layouts, and then my 2 different basic clear lines, the active and the swing, with the 8 boxes. The program allows you to export or back up your Medved platform and all the layouts and all the settings. You would utilize this if you were trying to set up on a secondary computer. You would back it up, copy the backup file to the other computer, and then you would import and restore it. And so you can load it on multiple computers, but you can only run it on one computer at a time. The settings, this would be the settings for the application, and there are a bunch of different types of settings. We'll go through a little bit of that in just a minute. There's also a very good help feature built into Medved. You can search it, you can scroll through, and I mean, they cover pretty much all the features of the software. And I always encourage new users to go through the tutorial. If you have any questions about anything, most of it's answered there. If not, I will do my best to get you an answer. If you have a problem with your Medved platform, I always encourage you to initially email their support at medvedtrader.com. They do not offer phone support. They only offer email, but they're very quick to respond and they are very helpful. They also have the ability, if you're having an issue, to send what's called a log file. If you click that and then type a message in this box, what the problem is, and then send it, they'll get that quickly and then be able to analyze any problems that you might be having. Okay, so one of the really great features about, and I'm going to go back to the 2-chart layout because that's just easier for everybody to see since it's a much larger window. So a couple of the really great features I love about the Medved platform and our integration with it is the ability to add different indicators, okay? And they have about 150 different indicators on their list. They have a grouping initially of those that will typically be on the main chart, and then they have a grouping of indicators that's usually on a separate chart or below the main chart. Like if you look on my right window, you'll notice down at the bottom there's an indicator. There's a green line down at the bottom and a number. That and that green line is the average true range. So if you're on a monthly chart, it's the ATR for the month, 235 points. If you're on the weekly chart, it's the ATR for the week, 92 points. If you're on a daily, it's the ATR for the day, 47 points. So Amazon has a 47-point ATR. That makes it pretty simple. I could move that onto the main chart because part of that functionality of their indicators is you have a choice to put it either below or on the main chart. Okay, it's just like volume. Remember on WiseTrade, you had a choice to have volume on the chart or below it. I like volume on the chart. It allows me to have a bigger singular view of each individual chart. And to me, that's important. I want to see clearly versus a scrunched up window. So the other thing that Medved offers that we couldn't do with WiseTrade is we have the ability to turn on and off the candlesticks. And I know there's a lot of traders that like to use candles because the red and green lines technically are not price charts. They're buying and selling momentum or buying and selling pressure charts. And we know that sometimes price exceeds above or below the buying and selling momentum. So by visually seeing the candles, you know where the actual price has gone to. This comes especially handy when you're looking at pivot points or other certain technical indicators, like we use the volume weighted average price. That's this line that you see right here with the VWAP. That's one of the indicators that we've actually added into our mix that we really enjoy. The volume weighted average price is a measurement of obviously volume weighted to the average price over an extended period of time. And we have found that stocks have a tendency to gravitate towards VWAP a lot. So like, I'm going to expand on Amazon as an example. So this morning obviously it was kind of caught all around the volume weighted average price, and then we broke away from it. Okay. When it actually broke down, you'll notice there was a down arrow right here. That was a good opportunity to short. Broke below VWAP. You had a down arrow confirming a reversal, and then it sold off. Well, later in the day, which this was a little over an hour ago, look where it gravitated right back up to. Almost exactly to the volume weighted average price. I mean, it missed it by less than $1, which on an $1,875 stock is pretty darn close. So this is one of the indicators that we really like, and that we do tend to follow on a daily basis. And again, this was not something you could have done with WiseTrade. You would have had to have two different types of charts: the pressure charts and price charts. Even Lightwave did not offer VWAP. It wasn't an indicator. There were not a lot of indicators on Lightwave. Is there a way that Medved can create a simple to use ATR like we had with WiseTrade? I mean, they have it already. You just have to put it on a historical chart. And I get what you're getting at. I totally understand what you're getting at. You want to see it in a more simplistic, like just the daily ATR. I'll talk to them. When I get back from Costa Rica, I'll have a conversation to see if they can add it, maybe as an option here on the quote, maybe daily ATR. Would that make it easier if it was here? I would think that might be something they could do. Yeah, so in the quote box. Let me let's see. Okay. All right. I've asked the question. We'll see what kind of response I get. Okay. But yeah, I mean, would it be nice to have ATR as one of those? Yeah. If I can get them to do that, that would be great. And that is something I really like about working with the Medved guys, is they are responsive to our needs. They do make adjustments for us on certain things. And so, I mean, they're always open for things like that. If it's something they can do and it doesn't require a tremendous amount of programming, I mean, I think it's something they would consider to do, as long as it's not something that would be overly complex for them. So let's go back to talking about Medved. So there's a lot of features on the charts. You have a right-click feature for trading, buy on the ask, sell, or the bid or sell. You can also edit your indicators from the right-click function on the chart. You can, if you're on a intraday chart, you can load a historical chart. If you're on a historical chart, you can open up a intraday chart. It allows you to do from one to the other, kind of flip-flop back and forth. Depending on your broker, you can view level 2, depth of market, depth chart. You can get news, and they connect to Yahoo and different broker news. So that's available. Option chains, if you want to view the option chains, that's just a right click away. And you can actually trade from right here. You can pick an option chain and then right click and then trade the option chain. You can trade from the charts, by the way. That's a feature that Medved offers, that you can buy or sell right here, buy, sell, or click trading, and link it to multiple different accounts. So let's say if I wanted to go long Amazon from my interactive brokers, I can just, whoops. Oh, I don't have, you know what? I have to have, it won't do it because I don't have interactive. I have to have the interactive brokers trader workstation open. I forgot. That's one of the weird ones. Yeah, for most brokers, you don't have to have their trade workstation open. It's automatically integrated. But for trade, for interactive brokers, you have to have their trader workstation running in the background for the connection to work. But all right, so let's do this again. Let's go back. So now, if I want to, of course, now it jumps like $1. If I want to buy it, mark it, and then sends the order to the broker. Of course, it just flew.
Order cancelled.
This is just in a demo account, so.
Order cancelled.
It's I don't know why it's not filling. But anyway, so you can trade directly from the charts. You can trade options from the charts by going to the option chain and then selecting which option you want. You can trade.
Order cancelled.
So from each chart, you'll see there are drop-down menus for the type of candles, and you can get into Heikin-Ashi and Renko, and I don't mess with any of that. It can mess with the lines a little bit, so I just stick to what either run with a candle or run without it. And I have an on-off switch right here to turn them on or off. Most of these buttons, these menus, you can add to the quick access toolbar. This is the quick access toolbar. So any of these functionality buttons are buttons that are available up here that I've just right-clicked and added it to the quick access toolbar. So the ones that you use the most frequently are the ones you're going to want to add to your quick access toolbar. So frequency, you know, when I want to change the time frame I'm looking at, 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, and so forth. That's very important to me. I want that one. I want to be able to see that one. Period. That's how far back I'm looking. This was something else that WiseTrade didn't do. WiseTrade only went back 50 to 51 intervals. I can go back. I mean, if I want to go back 200 intervals, if I only want to look at 50, I can adjust how far back I see. And then there's a scroll bar, and I can scroll back in time. You couldn't do this in WiseTrade. On a minute chart, you can go back like 2 months, nearly 2 months on a minute chart. On a historical chart, you can go back pretty much as far as there is data. So if I go to the monthly, like on Amazon, I can go back to 1997. I can scroll back. How would you like to have bought it back down here in 02 when it was 10 bucks? You know, but you couldn't do that with WiseTrade. You can do that with the Medved platform, and you see what the lines look like all the way back. Um, anyway, the other things you can do with the platform is you can draw lines. You can, I mean, there's all kind of drawing tools. You can do Fibonacci, and that's something we use quite a bit. We do like to do the first 15-minute fib levels. So we draw, and actually I have a shortcut on my quick access toolbar. We draw the fib extensions for the first 15-minute time frame, and then you can go flip back to the 3-minute, and all your fib levels are there. And you'll notice that certain stocks tend to follow the first 15-minute fib levels pretty closely. We also like to use, there's actually 3 different pivot points we now utilize. In addition to the daily pivot, we use something called the DMARC or the DMC, well, that's the center, DMARC pivot, and also the Fibonacci pivot. But you can add and remove whatever indicators you want. I'm going to go back to my popper dropper layout because that has the layouts that I typically use intraday. So, I look at 3 different time frames. One you can't see, but I have a 1, 3, and then off the chart, I also have a 5-minute that's floated off to the side. And I have 2 different stocks that I can watch simultaneously. So I utilize parabolic stop and reverse on the 1 minute. I utilize Bollinger Bands on the 3 minutes, and then I don't use any of those on the 5. I just use the VWAP on the 5 and on the 3. But again, the great thing is you can go as simplistic as you want, or you can add other indicators. It's up to you. And I tell each trader, each of my customers, use what you're most comfortable with. If you want to keep it simple, and I have a lot of traders that want it very simple, and that's why I create the 2-chart layout for them with no candles, because they want just clear lines. A lot of people just want to see clear lines, and that's fine. Again, it's personal preference. Chris says, Kipp, I have the popper dropper layout you set up for me. Thank you. However, I do like the 2-chart layout too. I'm able to use both multiple screens when I open the program. Sounds like a no. So you can't use both the popper dropper layout and the two chart layout, but what you can do is you can create, are you ready for this, Chris? You can go to your, this is going to blow your mind away. So if you have multiple monitors, okay, so let's say you like to use the popper dropper layout, right? Then what you can do is on another window, you can add a two chart layout to that other window. You just have to add two charts to it. And you can link them either to whatever you have linked on your watch list. So I'll show you, okay? I'll show you how to do this. This is cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, right click from Amazon, and I'm going to go historical chart for Amazon, all right? And then I'm going to turn off the candles. So this is just a basic historical chart. Then I can move this up to my next window above, okay? And I can use it on half the screen, and you can't see it because it's on another window. Oh, here, I'll show you in just a minute because I can flip over to it. And then what I could do is I can then take this window and I can say main, new chart, same as this chart, okay? If I want it to be the same as that one, or if I want it to be a blank slate with no indicators, I can remove what other indicators I don't want. So if I don't want parabolic stop and reverse, and I don't want stochastics, but maybe I just want to keep the pivots on there, okay? So basically it looks like this, right? And then I can scroll this up to my upper window, and it's still linked. And maybe I want to use that, and maybe I want to use a 30-minute time frame, okay? So now, hold on, let's do this. Let's go to that window. So now on that screen, boom. So that's my upper left window. It now has these two. My lower left window has the other ones that you saw. And if I click on from my watch list, it's going to load it up because I have them linked together. Oops, hold on. I have to link this one. Blue. Okay, now it's linked. So now I can see all of those together. On, you know, it just depends on how many monitors you have, but yeah. If you don't want to link them, if you want to keep them separately linked, then you have to change the color to something different from the other ones. So let me pick red. So this will now be linked differently than the other two windows. So I have three different windows. So yes, you can do that, but you have to open it on a separate window. So let me go back to okay, so now I go back. So yes, you just can't have two different layouts running at the same time. That's all. So yeah, you need another monitor. And once we set it up and save the layout, then you don't have to redo it every time. We just have to, once we make all the adjustments the way you want it, And I'm happy to help you out with that. If you need my assistance, I can definitely log on remote and set it up for you, and then we'll save it, and then boom, we'll create it as we'll call it something else, and then you'll have that new layout. But yes, yeah, I mean, if you had 8 monitors, you could literally have 25 or 30 charts going at once. I mean, you need a really good computer to run that much, but yes, you could do that. Absolutely. You're only limited by your real estate, so to speak. Tom says, how do I get more details on how to do fibs? So I actually I do have a session. If you go to our YouTube page at equity-alerts.com, click the YouTube link. Hold on. And I have to remember, problem is I have to click back and see.
This conference will now be recorded.
You know what I need to do is, oh, here, Equity Alerts, instructions to draw Fibonacci lines. I think that was one that Lindsay did.
My name is Lindsay, also known as the...
So there's a training on Fibonacci lines. And there's a couple other ones. You just have to kind of look at the definitions, the explanation.
Listed in the layout library.
But if you read in there, they'll tell, oh, we focus on drawing fib levels right here. Here's one, January 17th.
All right, good afternoon. Well,
so there's a few of them in there that have focus on fib levels. Chris says I'm picking up 2 monitors now. That's awesome. That's greatness. We've got about 10 minutes to go, and I have to cut out right at the end today. So are there any other questions before I'm going to go through a couple more things, and then that's going to be it for today? Are there other specific questions, though, that I can answer before? I don't want to get to the end and not have time. So we talked about a lot of the functionality there. You know, you can add indicators. They have another feature, and I don't want to go into this today. I've done some training on this, but they have a feature that basically allows you to, it scans for different candle patterns. For those that like, you know, dojis and shooting stars and whatnot, it has a candle pattern recognition tool built into it. I told you there was ability to draw. There's also an alert line feature that you can draw a line on a chart, and if it crosses the line, it actually creates an alert for you. Whoops, did I do the right one? Draw alert line. There we go. It's the dotted line. But you can create alerts, you know, when it crosses above or below, and then you can set up different notifications. It'll do a pop-up window, or you can set it to play a sound, and you can then move the alert line up and down to different places, and then as it crosses the line, even if you're not watching that chart, the alert still runs in the background. So if you move on to another chart, like if I switch this out to MT, that alert is still running. Okay, I can go to the alert editor, and you'll notice AD&T cross trend line up down is still running in the background. So if it crosses this line and I'm not even looking at that chart, I'm going to get a notification. This is a huge feature that most people don't realize. You can set all kinds of different alerts in the alert editor. They have different, so I can create a single symbol alert, and then there are different choices of types of alerts. But I don't even have to be on that chart, and it's still running in the background. I mean, that's huge. Again, you can draw different things, lines, boxes, ovals. You can write text, do a triangle, circles, Fibonacci retracement, Fibonacci expansions, fans, time zones, pitchforks, channels. I don't use any of those. I just use Fibonacci retracement. And we kind of lightly touched on the ability to trade, but you can link multiple accounts. You can have multiple brokers, multiple accounts with multiple brokers. You could literally have 20 or 30 different accounts linked to your Medved. You could trade through, and you can pick different accounts on each chart if you want. What else can I cover here right before the end? Like I said, there's a lot of functionality to the program. The watch list. Let's talk about the watch list real quick. So you can create multiple watch lists or baskets. Okay, so banks, and you can trade Forex. You can even trade Bitcoin using the system. Using the clear lines, you can trade Bitcoins. Oh, I have to backfill. Hold on. That's the only thing, is when you're using Bitcoins, you have to backfill the data using Coinbase, I think. Coinbase. You have to backfill the charts to get the data. There it is. But you can do Bitcoins, you can do Forex, you can do futures. So you have different baskets you can flip through. There's the NASDAQ 100. You can view them in different formats. The Dow 30. Mine usually just stays on my popper dropper watch list, and then I edit it every day. I have a copy and paste in and out symbols. I have a section that I add and remove every day. So that middle section, so from Tesla to AMD, that middle section, I trade out with all the poppers and droppers. The reason is because I want to see the futures on the top row. I have a list of core stocks that I like to follow every day on the second row. And then down near the bottom, I have a handful of stocks that I also like to follow as well. And then in the middle are the ones that I add and delete every day, the poppers and the droppers. So it does allow you to do a lot of different things and trade a lot of different instruments. If your broker, if you trade through a broker that trades futures, you can trade futures through the platform. You can do S&P, crude oil, nat gas, whatever you have access to. It's just, that's your limitation. You can trade any of that, and you can see pretty clearly the lines work pretty well. The indicators work well. So for anybody that's interested in learning more about subscribing to Clear Lines, just go to equity-alerts.com, click on the Clear Lines tab. There's some information here, and then you'll see a little more details related to the cost involved. If you have an account with Ally Invest that's funded, the cost of Clear Lines is just $59 a month. if you have an account with TD Ameritrade or E-Trade or Interactive Brokers, you're going to have an additional, and not Ally, you're going to have an additional $19.99 a month for the Medved fee. And then if you don't have one of those brokers and you have like Schwab or Fidelity, or you're in Canada, we only integrate with Questrade, you would have an additional about $22, $24 a month for data from Stockwatch. What I've told a lot of traders is the easiest thing, if you have a Fidelity or Schwab account, open a little account with TD Ameritrade. It'll save you at least the data feed, because you can open an account literally with Ameritrade with $50 and get access to data, and they don't require any minimums. If you want to save yourself the $20 a month Medved fee, then you'll need to fund an account with Ally Invest with probably $700 or $800. They're going to charge you $7.50 a month if you're inactive, if you're not trading out of it, but that's still less expensive. That's still saving you some money. So those are some options that you can do. I do offer an annual subscription. You get 13 months basically for the price of 12, so you get a free month. And that's alerts only. I mean, clear lines only. If you want to add in our alerts service, equity-alerts.com, and access to our live daily webinar, then it's $129 a month for the combination of clear lines and alerts. And you can sign up directly here. If you want to check out what we do on the equity-alerts, I do offer a free 1-week trial of just the alert service. Because of the time that it takes to get set up, you know, and the help that I do, I don't give a free trial of clear lines. But for $59 to get started, it's pretty reasonable. As little as $59, could be up to $100, but worth the investment. I want to thank you guys again. A quick reminder. I will be back Thursday this week and have another session. And then next week, there will be no Clear Lines training sessions, as I will be in Costa Rica. For those of you that are customers and do need assistance, if something dramatic comes up while I'm out of the country, send me an email. I'll be checking it. And I will have my laptop with me. And hopefully I'll have good enough internet to be able to remote using TeamViewer to help you out if there's a serious problem. You can also contact Medved, their support, if you need help with anything related to the platform. Again, thank you guys. If you have questions, don't hesitate to email me. You can reach me at kip@equity-alerts.com. You're also welcome to call or text me at 972-841-8886. And I'll see some of you guys in the morning at the Equity-Alerts webinar, and hopefully see some of you back next Thursday. Have a great afternoon. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.